This is absolutely Essendon, the Bombers fan channel, delivering spicy takes that you'll hate yourself for agreeing with. It's our round 3, match review. Bombers defeating Port Adelaide, putting the power out by 2 goals, getting our first win of the season. There is a lot to discuss, and possibly the most important thing is, what does it all mean? Let's not muck around, straight into it. Okay, well, that was quite the week, was it not, down at Bomberland. After our big loss to the Crows last week, we were the talking point, big time, across all platforms. We covered a lot of that in our new Media Watch show, but no doubt it would have had an impact on the playing group, on the whole club, I would imagine. Both positive and potentially negative as well in terms of pressure. So to come out and get the win was a very nice result.
Yeah, I agree.
Great. So where do you think...
I tell you, I've never heard you pause like that before.
You could.
The last time I heard you pause like that was when you had to say "I do."
Oh.
Yeah, I regret.
There was,
and, No, look, I'm back. I'm back. I was visualising whilst you were talking.
Were you?
Yeah, because apparently the Bombers didn't have a lot of time to recover from the Adelaide catastrophe. They had 5 days. So they didn't get the same training training schedule.
Right.
So apparently at the club for the whole week, they were going through a process of visualisation. I don't know whether you picked this up, right? Brad Scott was talking about it before the game.
Right.
And even Andrew McGrath was caught lying out on the surface of Marvel, on his back, on the playing surface with some headphones, listening to some Sabrina Carpenter, no doubt.
Right.
Eyes closed, for a period of several minutes, visualising what he was going to do, how they were going to play during that game. So to sort of replace the sort of lost training hours that they had, they went into this visualisation. I'm not sure if that's... is that a thing, is it? Apparently it is.
Mate, it's a huge thing.
Right.
Because, let's face it, a lot of this game is played between the ears. It's confidence is a massive thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you're talking about playing between the ears, there's no better exponent of that than James Hird, so I'd agree with you on that. Probably no one's going to pick up on that gag, but that is an excellent gag.
Is it?
Yeah, think about it.
Yeah, all right. I'm going to need some time to digest that one, but I'm sure there'll be others that will just right onto it.
Yeah.
Rather like, I get it, mate. I get it.
Thank you.
So it was, I was thinking about it, and with all that talk of, hey, this club is in rebuild, for the players, it's got to have an impact, and not necessarily positive, because what we're saying is basically most of them are not good enough, right? So they could have easily come out and been deflated. Do you think, or you think the response we got was wanting to prove everybody wrong? So it was the most obvious response.
Look, possibly. I think we talked a bit about the whole rebuild. The news around that concept was flowing thick and fast last week. It's amazing what a win can do. Changes the tone, everything shifts to a different discussion point. But no, I think the talk about a rebuild should not be a deterrent to any player. You're professional, you're getting paid, you're on the playing list, you're going to want to prove yourself regardless. And so I think the response by this team against the Power, and again, they've embarrassed my tipping expertise, but, that was the needed response. I think we said at the end of the last episode, or whenever we talked about the preview of this match, the result really wasn't the important thing. It was the response and what the team was going to do. And I think they did respond. Clearly they got the win, but even before that became a possibility, there was a certain level of grit and determination on display. It was not a pretty game by any means, but the Bombers were definitely up for the fight.
Yeah, so they were out of the blocks quickly. They maybe squandered some couple of early opportunities in that first quarter, and then Port Adelaide got on top. In particular, Georgiades playing like Wayne Carey, but there was definitely a difference in intensity that was clearly visible. So
you saw it earlier. I think it was Hobbs and Gresham tackled a Port player turning into the play. Just body slammed him into the turf.
Yeah,
and you could see that was the real sign that everyone was up for it. There was definitely a commitment amongst the playing group, amongst the team, to make good of the horrible effort from the previous week, and it was very apparent early, as you said.
Yeah. Even though Port Adelaide, the usual suspects though, were making their impact on the Port Adelaide side. You had Aliir dominating down back, and our forward 50 entries were annoyingly going a little too close to him until we kind of figured it out and started mixing things up a bit later on. But it seemed to be taking a little while to come to that realisation. And then, of course, we had to sort of switch defenders on Georgiades until we got to Reid. Who then went on to make, after last week, copping a bit of flack, seeing to be, he was unfortunately ragdolled a few times. That term got used a lot. I don't like it, but he really made an impact, which was, I felt great for him to sort of have that under his belt.
I agree. It was a game he needed. The poor kid, he's had such a horrible run of it. He was drafted back in 2020, and I think that was his 11th or 12th game. So, he's definitely lacking confidence. And, the first two games were pretty challenging for him. But he responded really well, and I thought he was one of the standouts, actually, in a game where pretty much every player put in a better performance than what they had the week before. I can't think of anyone who went backwards. Even, I got to say, Pryor, whose first two games in the red and black, weren't particularly good. Even he, after a pretty shaky start against Port, really started to get into the swing of things. So it was from that point alone, I think this was a great game for the Bombers. I don't think it was a great standard at any point in time. I mean, we got a bit of a run in the last quarter.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of errors going on, a lot of turnovers, mistakes being made, but they continue to apply the pressure, and it just goes to show, even if you're having a rough day at the office, if you keep that pressure level up, you're always going to be a chance. I'd be more alarmed if I was a Port Adelaide supporter, frankly. I thought they were pretty awful. I don't know what your thoughts were on that.
Well, we squandered opportunities, 9 goals, 18, so that goes without saying, but they did as well at crucial moments. So, we'll get to how meaningful this win is just a little bit further on.
Okay.
We'll just build up the drama a little more.
Happy to do that.
Leading towards that. But in the meantime, what was great was just a lot of our crew, our boys, that seemed to be missing over the last week or two, in particular last week. They awakened.
Yeah.
And people like Redmond, who we've been talking about.
Where's he been for the last 2 years?
It's not only, was he providing more impact, but just kicked one of his signature goals on the run. Yeah. And unfortunately, due to Gresham, wasn't allowed to celebrate properly.
I noticed that,
and that was just a little bit disappointing. Jade, you just got to be careful.
Killed the red dog off, didn't he?
You
do. Nearly strangled him.
Red dog needs to put those ears up, and it's important,
right?
So we need to get on top of that.
No, and look, I believe that Mason had been doing a hospital visit as a part of his work that he does. With some kids in hospitals, and they said to him, look, can you do a red dog for us if you get a goal? So he was determined to score a goal in this game, and he did. It was one of his classic on-the-run, long flying kick from outside 50, and he was just going up to do it when Gresham nearly ripped his head off. But
I would argue that visiting those kids in the hospital, if that's true, I didn't.
Yeah, it is. He talked about it.
That's a stronger visualisation than even McGrath lying down.
Yeah, I don't know. McGrath was he might have been I don't know what he was doing, but someone actually made the point. You want to be careful getting too close to the surface of Marvel Stadium. There's a lot of fertiliser and poison and stuff.
No, but a bit of visualise. That's a classic bit of Joe Dispenza.
I hope McGrath was visualising actually laying a tackle. Anyway, moving right along. We don't want to go down that path, but I just want to say there was a lot of whipping boys from the previous week, and I think I just want to call out a couple in particular.
So let's
go through. I'm just going to run down the list, but I think Dylan Shield.
Yes.
Dylan Shield, I mean, the poor guy, people seem to forget in the last 6 games or whatever it was he played in last season, was actually probably one of our best players as the club was falling off the cliff. Dylan Shield was actually one of our better players. He was, drafted as playing into the half-back line this season, not the right fit for him. He was back in the middle. And that's where he should stay. Yeah, he still can offer a lot to this team. He was great. Over 700 metres gained.
Now, did it have anything to do with playing in the position that he's naturally accustomed to?
Surprise.
So, yeah, okay.
So that one, I mean, the other one I'll throw to you because this is one of your faves, is young Ben Hobbs.
Yes, he had a much better game, made a lot of impact, laid a lot of great tackles, and somehow got given a $1,500 fine for staging as well from the is it the MRO, whoever they are. There was a tackle by Ollie Wines where he was slung down, but on the way hit his head on Connor Rosie's shin, I think, knee or shin, and so it hurt a bit. Does hurt.
Sure.
Grabbed his head, but they said no.
Because they were saying his head didn't hit the ground, right?
Yes, his head didn't. But it didn't hit the ground.
No one bothered to point out the fact that his skull crashed against Rosie's leg.
So Ben Hobbs has just been fined for staging $1,500. It must be said this is a very rare occurrence for Michael Christian. We've seen a lot of players who throw themselves forward in the marking contest. So he's slung to the ground by Ollie Wines, but his head does not hit the ground as the slow-mo shows. No. And yet, given the capacity for Wines to be reported, Michael Christian has come down with a $1,500 fine. As I say, it's very rare, but he clearly felt strongly that his head does not make contact with the turf.
No, it doesn't make contact with the turf. He said hit Connor Rosie's right leg, right knee.
Let's have a look at it again here.
He hits his right knee as he goes along there. On the back of his head hits Rosie's leg. So how can you say that he's staging for a free kick when there's quite clearly contact?
Please do not pay this fine. I know you probably just think, hey, it's only $1,500, eh? Just break a bit off there, boys, in accounts. Please don't. Please take a stand and just slam this down. Get a legal guy. We're happy to do it.
He's not suspended, though.
We'll put a case together.
It's just a fine.
No, it's just a fine. But still, what are we paying $1,500?
No, I agree. But he was great. I think the good thing about Hobbs's game is he kind of gave us a glimpse of what he can be and what role he can play. And he's not going to be that dashing outside mid that sort of breaks away from packs and gallops into the forward line. He's that getting him down and dirty. And he did it with aplomb. So, look, the question's always going to be, do we have space to have, when he's fit, Parrish, Merritt, of course, Caldwell, Durham, Shield, Sartis, Hobbs, on and on. And that's really I think the challenge for the coaching staff is finding places for all of these guys, but not playing them out of position just to squeeze them all into the team. So I think it's got to be kind of almost a rotation policy to ensure that those guys get games in the right positions. But Hobbs on the ball, that sort of extractor, if I can call it that, he was great. I was really pleased for him.
Yes.
And also we mentioned Zach Reed, who also showed what he could do, and I'm hoping he can only go on from there.
Go on.
No, I was only just going to get to Gresham.
Yes.
Gresham, I think, was one of our best, certainly in the first half. He was right in there.
He was.
And Pryor, who had a bit of a shaky start, was also good. So I think a lot of the guys that were struggling from the week before definitely stepped up.
What about Archie Roberts?
Well, Archie was great.
Got a lot of possessions.
He was very good.
Did some good things and kicked a crucial goal.
At
a good time as well. So
he did.
Hats off to you, Archie. He was walking around with more swagger than Tony Moreno in Saturday Night Fever.
Okay,
it's
that
John
was
Travolta
John Travolta. Yeah,
okay, all right, old reference.
No one will remember that.
No, all right.
I just want to come to Mackay though. Ben Mackay took an absolute toweling from Georgiades in the first few minutes of the game, and looked a man absolutely shot of confidence. He clearly. But I just want to bring on. Now, I thought he got better as the game went on, as they all did, and by the end of the game, I think he was our equal leading intercept marker in the game for Essendon.
For us,
yeah.
Right.
And so he did his job by the end of that match. I mean, he had been moved away from Georgiades, so maybe that made it a little easier. I just want to talk and ask you, what's your view about the Bronx cheers? Every time he got the ball, marked the ball, or did something positive, the crowd let him know. I didn't like that. What do you reckon?
Yeah, it's not a good look. It's not a good look. I think I can understand why. I'm not excusing it at all, but everyone's just been whipped up into this media frenzy that he's on a big contract and we paid a lot of money to get him.
But why does that bother people, what he gets paid? Who cares what he gets paid?
Well, because you're being paid $1 million, whatever it is.
So
we want to see you. We want to see you deliver to that standard.
So do we let a guy off the hook after he's played a really shit game because he's one of the sort of lower salary, lower paid guys in the club? Do we say, oh, that's okay, he doesn't get paid much? He can be shit. That's all right. No, I mean, who cares what he gets paid?
Yeah, but I don't agree. It's not a good look. Yeah, just keep your mouth shut.
Yeah, but you're right though. That is the reason. It's why McGrath cops a lot of grief. Because he
number one
weighting of expectations, all of that,
the burden of expectations.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't really care whether they're number 1, number 50 draft pick, as long as they play as well as they can and they put in an effort. That's all you can ask. No, not everybody can be Chris Judd.
Yeah.
So we've got to be a better fan base than that. I know we take pot shots at players from time to time, but I would never boo one of my own players. Never do the Bronx cheers. I just would never do that.
Well, I mean, speaking of which, if we can stay on that topic, because the week before, Sam Draper, when kicking from goal, as close as 11 metres out and kicking the ball, side on, was getting the Bronx cheers. This week, that swung around to just cheers.
It's trending.
Because, the club and Brad Scott in particular went out of his way to explain that this is actually something they've been working on for 12 months and, it was working for him. And so I think that just goes to show that, we are forgiving. We can be a bit kind of, short-sighted at times as a fan base. And some say, over-entitled. But, I think if sort of just given nice explanation like that, then, everyone gets on board.
The thing on Sam Draper is if you go back to last year and years prior to now, there's that sort of collective groan in the crowd when he was lining up for a shot at goal.
Yeah.
Because his kicking wasn't so great.
That's right.
So he's done something about it. They've come up with a way of addressing that.
Yeah.
And I think he's going at 100%. For shots, where he has gone around the corner, kicked around the corner.
Yeah.
It was interesting. I think against the Power, he did have a shot from about 45 out where he did have to do the sort of normal run up and drop punt. And, the ball went off to the side and didn't go anywhere near the goal. So whatever works, he's kicked 5 or 6 goals already. He would probably be amongst the sort of highest goal scorers in the rucking fraternity this year so far.
Yeah.
Keep it going if it works for him. And I think it's becoming, like anything Draper does, it always becomes a bit of a cult status thing, doesn't it? So
Right. And can I just say, Ridley, who we've always given a lot of love to, but
we do. We love him.
What a change it just made to have him in the back line, just adding some structure to things. That definitely helped and definitely was a factor.
Essendon are far from having their best team out on the field so far, and it makes a difference. When any of those good quality players come back into the side, it really makes a difference. It would be great when Langford's back in the side. It'll be great when Parrish is back. Even Guelphy, there's a lot of players that we're missing from the team at the moment. We made a lot of progress on the weekend, but there's still room for a lot of improvement, and I think that will come from both the organic growth of the team that played,
Yeah.
as well as bringing in some of these experienced players.
So I would say then, leading up into the third quarter, it was a bit of an arm wrestle, both sides making mistakes as well. There
Yeah.
was inaccuracies.
Sure.
There were moments when I think Port Adelaide got in front by 2 goals. Ollie Wines kicked one, I think, on the run. But we were always, maybe as Essendon fans, we weren't confident, but at least we were hopeful. Which we certainly didn't have the week before. But then the fourth quarter started, and Jason Horne-Francis, who was having a decent day, having to deal with a great Sam Durham, I might add, who did great, who did really well. But Jason Horne-Francis kicks the first goal of the last quarter, and that certainly sapped the energy out of the room. I felt at the time. How did you feel at that moment?
I thought they were gone at that moment. I thought that's it. But
Who's they?
The Bombers.
Us. We were gone.
And I was happy to say, okay, look, we lose the game, we lose the game. It's been a pretty decent effort, good response from the previous week. I'll take that. I didn't expect to see what happened shortly thereafter.
Enter Saad El Hawli. Coming on for his first game, there was a bit of excitement as he came onto the field. Now, I don't know whether this is true or not, but because he did a post-game interview on Channel 7, which we'll come to.
Oh, well,
was
you
interesting
most definitely will.
For its own reasons, not good ones really. But it is sort of the period of Ramadan for the Muslim community, which means that technically not a lot of eating during the day. In fact, nil. I think they were worried that he couldn't run out the whole game. That's why maybe he didn't play the whole game, because certainly the way he started, that was the first question that came to mind. Why the heck is he only coming on, what was it, 8 minutes, 10 minutes into the last quarter? Because, boy, did he make an impact. What did you think?
I think he came on at the beginning of the final quarter.
Oh, was it?
I think so.
Are you sure?
Maybe not.
Okay.
But I'm going to say it because no doubt someone will tell us.
Yes, they will.
Because I noticed his game time was 25%, so that would suggest it was.
All right, so maybe it was. Yeah. Okay, my error. My bad.
No errors here. No right or wrong. God, there's definitely no issues about being wrong. We usually are. But no, look. It was that. I thought he had some exemption to break his fast because of the fact that it was his work required him to be nourished and things.
That's what he said in the post-game interview.
And we've had a lot. Both you and I have lived extensively in Islamic countries, so we understand the nature of that, unlike the Channel 7 broadcasting team, which we will come to in a minute, particularly Hamish McLaughlin and what's his name? Nick Revolt.
Yes.
Nick Revolt. Yeah. Oh, my God. I mean, both the Revolts are in the commentary box. It's just a disaster. Yeah. But let's just get back to the good news, which was Saad El Hawli.
Yes.
I just somehow our pea-brain commentary team, just because he's a man of the Islamic faith, tend to think that he's Basher Hawli.
Right.
It's just pathetic. I mean, the name is Hawli. It's not Hawli, but every single one of them, we kept calling him Saad Hawli, Al Hawli. I mean, come on, it's Al Hawli. But anyway, moving right along, let's talk about the entrance into his AFL career.
Yeah, because, playing your first moment, you can get the jitters. You can be a little bit nervous. Yeah. You can probably just play it safe. Just quickly dish off a handball, keep things moving.
Yeah.
But, boy, that was a really nice moment. He just said, You know what, I'm feeling this. And he carved through the centre of the ground and created a really good moment. And I think quite a crucial moment for our side at that point in the game.
It turned the switch on. I can't remember a moment quite like it, certainly in recent years, because there was all the anticipation about him coming into the game, first game.
Yeah.
Everyone loves to see a kid debut, and we sort of hold our breath when the ball goes near them, and he didn't disappoint. He turned the switch on. There was just a noticeable change around the ground for a start. The Essendon fans in the stadium went absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
But the players, and a lot of them afterwards, were talking about they could just feel the energy lift after that amazing run of his. And let's just play through that. So he got the ball, dished it off, kept running, received the return handball.
Was begging for it.
Then a Port Adelaide player bearing down on him went the smother and he did the sidestep dodge around that.
Yeah. Was it a
and
shinny?
then, yep,
Yeah, but it was a
lovely
nice
little
sidestep.
side movement and
Yeah.
then just drilled. Not the best kick,
No.
but nevertheless it was a chaos-type ball to Isaac Kako, who
Yes.
was under the pump from his opponent.
Big time.
And Kako pulled that in with one grab and then instantly flicked the handball out to a Nick Martin running past.
Yeah.
And Martin didn't disappoint, thank goodness.
Yes.
And finished it off with a terrific goal, a fantastic team lifting goal. And
Yeah.
and as soon as that happened, there was no turning back. And the Bombers pretty much owned the rest of that game.
Yeah.
And ran out 12-point
That
winners
was
in the end.
and the Kako handball cannot be undercredited. I think.
No,
Is
it was fantastic.
If it was just a bit lower, Martin would have had to stop.
Yeah.
Wait, pause, over. But he just got it up for him, and Martin kept going.
No, he
And
didn't break
you're
stride.
right.
He didn't break stride. I think we've talked about this on our show before about the value of clean hands and what really sets a fantastic footballer apart from an also-ran.
Yeah.
Or a good footballer. And it's those clean hands in the heat, under the pump, to be able to grab the ball first time without fumbling it and then dispose of it effectively, making the right decision. And, if that was a glimpse of what Isaac Kako can do,
Yeah.
forget about the snap goals and all of that.
Yeah.
Doing that tells me we're onto something with this kid. That is a rare talent,
Yeah.
and it was brilliantly executed.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that. And
Yeah.
so from that point forward, it was in front of a home crowd. It just felt more than hopeful at that
Yeah.
point. It felt like the game was ours.
And it kind of got iced, if we can use that term. I don't think it was ever really iced, but again, involving Isaac Kako. When he took the ball sort of around the 50-metre line on the half-forward flank.
Yes, yeah.
Made a little sort of dart into the forward line, looked left, looked right, looked straight ahead, spotted his good mate Caddy making a move, and then drilled a 40-metre pass across the field, and Caddy didn't disappoint. Marked the ball, had it slapped out of his hands. It was definitely a mark, and I think that's the first time in that game that Alir had been beaten. But what a crucial time to take that mark and finish off with a goal. So there's a little glimpse into the future there. Al Hawley, Kako and Caddy were fantastic.
It's composure from the least experienced guys in the
team,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
How nice does that feel?
Yeah.
So that is... so that is a big positive, and it's quite exciting. Good to have a win, because I was really concerned that we were going to be 0-3 and potentially on the bottom of the ladder, because West Coast are playing Freo, I think, so one of them should win, unless they both manage to lose.
That's a draw.
And I think Melbourne are playing the Gold Coast. But there was a chance of us languishing at the bottom of the ladder.
Right,
and just
with a bad percentage.
And the headlines just continuing for another week, and it just would have done my head in. But no, we managed to at least get a score on the board. But, and as great as that is, and as grateful as we are to have that win, it's a question of how much meaning do we give that victory. So I'm thinking we might need to start a new segment this year, the meaningful meter of every victory. We need to apportion meaningfulness meter.
Oh, yes. You tell me. I can't say that. That's a mouthful.
But you get my point, because Port Adelaide,
So you're saying a meter that measures the
value that we apportion to that victory.
To that game.
Yes.
Regardless of the outcome.
Well, yes.
Okay.
Well, no. Well, no. I'm thinking just the winning games, because here's the point, right? First of all, many of our players got their mojo back. Big tick, right? Intensity was up, and dare I say even some cohesion amongst the team. Big tick. But who did we beat, and how excited should we get from that victory, right? Because my opinion, Port Adelaide, I don't think are going anywhere this year.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
So, given that, I think we need to maybe temper our excitement. So on the meter, should be down the low end, is my point.
I mean, look, I'm trying to understand how your meter works, but
right, okay.
I'm running various sort of supercomputer programs in my head trying to just sort of get to a point. Okay, does that game mean anything? I think it means a hell of a lot. So I'm saying that the meter, that would have pushed the meter quite a bit, but the issue is...
Why do you say that?
Because I think if we'd lost that game, as much as it was an improved performance, with a young team, it starts to become hard to win. And they would have taken out of that an enormous amount of confidence that, hey, we can do this. We can actually beat opposition sides. After the embarrassment of the week before, I reckon they'll be walking around the hangar with a spring in their step. Just don't walk on the surface of the training ground because you'll probably do your knee.
Yeah.
But I think that in terms of short-term meaningfulness, I think it's substantial. That could all come crashing down next time we play. Because we're a young side, we're going to have an up and down, inconsistent year. No question about it. But the important thing is, Ben Hobbs can play football, right? A week ago we're saying he wouldn't make it. I think even you said he's not going to make it.
I did have some concerns.
Ben Hobbs can play football. I think Elijah Sartis can play football. You know, Sartis was missing from that game, but he'll be back soon. There's so much that I took from that game. But does that mean we're going to win the next 5 in a row? No, absolutely not. We've got a long, long way to go. Am I doing the meaningful meter thing right?
Yeah, you are. But I would just disagree because I would say
nothing unusual there.
My concern would be that all of a sudden perhaps you draw almost too much confidence from it. I get your point.
Right.
Definitely you draw too much and all of a sudden the next game you start on the back foot again and then...
Your meter's very pragmatic.
Yes, it is.
And it's almost like your meter just doesn't think around anything other than give me the facts. Whereas I'm absorbing more of the emotion into my meter. Because I think the game is an emotional game.
It is.
To me, I've always said on this show, the difference between the talent of a number 1 draft pick and a number 50 draft pick is very marginal. I mean, they are the best 1% of the best 1%. So a lot of it is what happens inside the head. And, what happened for us on the weekend is we got that together. We were playing...
Oh, the James Hird gag. Oh, because his ears stick out.
Oh, hallelujah.
Oh, jeez. How long did that take?
Seriously.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Well, you've just ruined it for everyone else who's browsing Encyclopedia Britannica.
At this point, mate. Everyone's switched
they
off
are
already.
watching. They are just going to get the second bowl of popcorn.
They gave up ages.
But anyway, look, my point is that, the emotion around that win for the team, I'm sure you saw the celebration in the rooms afterwards.
Yes.
And they sang that song with gusto. They sang that song like they meant it, and that's what it means to me. So in terms of, at least for this week, I reckon the meaningful meter actually did jump up a lot.
Okay. All right. Well, time will tell.
Ask these guys.
Yes.
Tell what do they think?
Yeah, give us your opinion. Where do you think? How important was? How valuable was that? Was that victory?
I reckon they're all Googling meaningful meter now, trying, what the hell is this guy talking about?
Even I'm confused. Sorry, my
seriously.
apologies.
We might have to take...
my point is, we don't want to get too excited.
So
okay, that's all I'm saying.
A quick show is a good show. Something we've never abided by.
No, I know.
But I just want to go... You mentioned it a little earlier about the Channel 7... team interviewing in the rooms after the game.
They did. So they, Hamish McLaughlin, and Nick Riewoldt interviewed the family of Saad El Hawli, and it was, I think it was meant to be a nice moment, you know, celebrating his first game. But in their attempts to be arms across the ocean, it kind of got a little bit butchered, especially when Hamish tried his best Arabic.
Yeah, well, I mean, of course, it wasn't Arabic, according to Nick Riewoldt. Salam alaikum came out as sort of like ham and salad sandwich or something. I mean, he couldn't. Probably shouldn't say the word ham.
He butchered it. He butchered it. It was very, very bad.
I mean, okay, I'm going to say, well, the intent was right, but it wasn't. That was just a bit of low-hanging virtue signalling by Hamish to try and be, all things to all people. In fact, it came across as condescending bullshit. But the thing that got me was his buddy Nick Riewoldt, who's got a pinhead to start with. I mean, have you ever seen a guy whose head's actually smaller than his dick? But his head is so small that the brain that's rattling around in Nick Riewoldt, he said to Hamish McLaughlin, all I can say is I'm impressed that you learned how to speak Muslim.
Yeah.
Right, Nick,
Yeah.
it's called Arabic.
Yes.
For a start, but I'm very impressed that you speak Christian. So well done to you, Nick Revolt.
Yeah, that was bad.
Yeah,
that
please.
was bad. But I mean, come on.
Like and share. I mean, he needs to be told.
He's an ex-footballer. I mean, they're not exactly going to come up with a cure for cancer anytime soon. So
You're forgiving him for that?
Are you? No, it was bad. It was really, really bad.
But I mean, look, to try and sort of pretend that you are all things to all people when you're clearly not. I mean, let's just cut that out. The kid had a fantastic run. I was so happy to see his family in the room, loving it and enjoying it. And you had these two muppets coming in to kind of ruin it for everyone. Look, I'm sure there'll be people out there coming at me saying you've got it all wrong. I haven't. It's probably never happened where I've got it all wrong.
A couple of times. But no, I agree with you on this occasion. It was just one of those things where they I don't know what
the commentary on the football this year has just gone backwards. I mean, I noticed what's his name, Dunstall's back in the commentary box. I mean, I thought he was out in the old people's home now.
Well, you got a problem with Dunstall?
Yeah, I do.
With the
actually.
chief.
Yeah, right. Yep. I say bring back Wayne Carey.
Yeah.
If Nick Rewalt gets a gig. If it's all about moral standards, let's get Wayne Carey back.
I don't think so. Have we given due credit to everyone that we needed to for this week's victory? I think we have.
Oh, look, we've given more than due credit to everybody, and I just think, what a great result for the Bombers. We go into a bye now, which is also good, I think. It just gets
very handy.
A couple of players have got a few niggling injuries, get them back. Get excited about the gather round, which is immediately after the bye.
It is, and we face Melbourne, which will be very interesting. They're playing the Gold Coast as we speak. I think they're struggling, which is interesting.
Yeah, I don't know, but I mean, by the time
I know you're just cheering for their downfall,
right? We want them to finish
first round draft,
of course.
You're hanging your.
Well, I mean, as you should. Gold Coast is smashing them as I speak.
Right.
So,
oh, geez, that's ugly. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Okay. All right. Well, very good then. Thanks again. Give us your views on where you think we go from here.
And on the meaningful meter too, please. Yeah. Please.
Meaningfulness meter. There was too many vowels. Too many
all right.
consonants.
Fantastic.
Okay. All right. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you very soon.
See you.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.